Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Non-Native Leader, my video podcast series where I explore stories of people who work internationally in NGOs, fintech, IT, finance, art, different sectors, different industries, and they all have one thing in common. They were born in a non-English speaking country. And today, I am really happy to have here with me Thomas Hoon. Thomas, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How about you, Danelli? Very happy to on your show.
Thank you, thank you. So, Thomas, I usually start with a simple question. We know your name, but what do you do and where are you?
Okay, for the benefit of the audience today, hello everyone. My name is Thomas Hoon. I'm a Singaporean who is currently based in China. So it's a great pleasure to be here and thankful for Daniel Lee for inviting me to the show. Just a quick introduction about myself. I spent 25 years building a career in sales and business development across Asia. So I'm working in diverse markets like Japan, Korea, China, Southeast Asia, and beyond. So out of these 25 years, 15 years was spent in a corporate MNCs based in US, UK, Finland, the Netherlands, Israel, Japan. Personally, I've been involved in startups as well. I'm involved in 6 startups, and I'm a founder of 4 of my own, including one that was backed by Economic Development Board of Singapore. I wear multiple hats today, so if someone going to ask me a question, what do I do? You need to give me 2 hours, 3 hours to explain what I do. But
Yeah.
for the benefit of the show, I'll just keep it short. Okay, so I work as an international business consultant and a network connector. So in simpler terms, I help business bridge the gap between Southeast Asia and China. So I connect people with the right people, developing the market with the right strategy. And besides my consulting work, I'm very passionate about mentoring. So I serve as a
Whoa.
mentor at Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Youth Entrepreneurship Hub. Seems lengthy. It's actually one organization. but that is associated with HK Hong Kong Science, Hong Kong University of Science and Tech. I'm
I
also
see.
mentor at GBA, Greater Bay Area Innovation Entrepreneurship Incubation Base. I do not know about the Chinese. Why do they like to have very lengthy names? This is another organization, and they are owned by the Chinese government, Guangzhou government. And last but not least, I also do mentoring at Nanyang Polytechnic, which is based in Singapore. So mentoring is very close to my heart. I enjoy talking to young founders to navigate the challenges of building and scaling something new. So come back to the original question. If
Yeah.
you ask me,
I'm
I've been
lost.
talking a lot. You're
I'm
lost now.
lost.
Okay.
No, I'm joking.
Okay.
It's great.
Okay. So if somebody asks me, what do? I simply tell them, I connect. I help people discover and help people grow across industries, cultures, and borders. So if you're a businessman, come to me. I'll help you move to China or move to Southeast Asian market.
Wow. Okay, okay, that's great. That's fantastic, Thomas. And yeah, I said I was lost. I'm not really lost, but I am amazed because you do so many things and you are truly international. So I'd say you represent the spirit of the podcast like perfectly. Yeah. You
Thank you very
travel,
much.
you mentor, you support, you connect, and that's amazing. And you connect across countries. So you have a huge international experience, which is great, and I truly respect that, Thomas. And yeah, I do follow you on LinkedIn, so I see your nice stories on that you share, and I deeply appreciate the fact that you share like practical stories and also more like technology development, but also the day-to-day. dealings with your business. So, like the technicalities of, I don't know, taking a taxi in China or these things. So, this is something I truly appreciate. Now, we were talking about being international, and you are the international person for sure. And you must have started somewhere, right? Because you are not born international. Or maybe you are, I don't know, but let's say you had to start somewhere. And so if you had to identify one challenge, so what has been the main challenge for you in your international experience?
That's a very good question. I'm a Singaporean by birth. So I'm born Singaporean. We speak English there, but Malay is our official language. So if you ask me one of the challenges in my internet experience, I think it's about adapting to the pace and preferences of different cultures around us. Take a look at Southeast Asia. Across the border, we have Malaysia, which speaks the official language as Malay. Below us, there's Indonesia, which speaks Bahasa Indonesia. Above Malaysia is Thailand, which speaks Thai. Besides Thailand, it speaks on the right is Vietnam, which speaks Vietnamese. So we are talking about all a different group of people, different cultures, different languages, different way of doing things. So as a Singaporean, I learned that moving fast isn't the most effective way in some of these markets. Because Singaporeans, I don't know what's you're dealing with Singaporeans. We like to talk very fast. We move fast. For some reasons, I walk very fast and I eat very fast. I don't know whether this is a Singaporean trait, but you hear from me, go and look out for your Singaporean friends if they do the same thing. So,
Yeah, I
so
should
we,
ask
we
actually. Yeah, I will ask. I will ask.
yeah. So we like to do things fast. We like to do things direct. But I learned that moving fast isn't the most effective way in these markets. So for example, um, they like to focus on decisions rather than speed. So decisions aren't in rush. They are layered with hierarchy as well as timing. So let me give you some example. In China, where I'm based now, a contract negotiation might involve multiple rounds of discussion with senior leaders weighing in, and only after you have built the relationship over several meetings, then they'll come to a decision, say, hey, okay, Thomas, let's go to the business terms. This is very common here. Take for another example. In Indonesia and Malaysia, we like to go for business lunch and tea breaks. So this business lunch and tea break can last longer than the official meeting itself. So, so eventually, this slow chat become very crucial because you are building, indirectly building relationship with your customers. So you are not
Yeah.
presenting in the office environment. You are talking to them over lunch, over tea, sometimes over cigarettes. Okay. And in Vietnam, another major market in Southeast Asia, we talk about respect of hierarchy. So if you address a middle manager talking to them, hey, this is how the deal is like, and you thought that you'll get the deal, but 1 week later, you say, oh, your terms are very good, but now you need to present to my boss, which is probably the one someone few layers above him. So this is how decision is made in this country. So more often and rather, you need to slow down your pace instead of
Uh-huh.
rushing your customers to your pace. So that's the difference of doing business for me and adapting in these different markets.
Yeah, and that was something you had to learn because, as you said, you're used to going really fast, quick, straight to the point, and then you had to learn a complete new way of doing things. And yeah, was it hard for you to adapt?
Definitely it's not easy because moving into new international markets isn't without emotional challenges.
Sure.
Sometimes I feel frustrated, and because being new, you want to have quick wins under your belt, so you tend to grow impatient. But especially when the progress seems slow and meeting didn't end with clear decisions, it becomes very frustrating. For example, I fly to Thailand on a weekly basis, try to meet my customer. The progress is just maybe you move a little bit this week, the next week, then you move slightly 1% or 2%. So it's like a 56.6 modem trying to download information. So things don't move that fast,
Yeah.
and it becomes a frustration. Then there were moments in which you feel that you start to question yourself, um, am I really suitable for this job? Is my directness really a right fit for doing regional business? So you tend to question yourself. And the difference in communication sometimes do lead to misunderstanding and miscues, because there was once I was managing my Thai team. Then the first feedback they gave to me is, hey boss, don't be so aggressive. You're too fast. We cannot catch up with your pace. And they
Wow.
like to use the term 在yan yan. That means chill, boss, chill.
Yeah. Take
So
it easy,
basically,
huh?
take it easy, chill. Yeah. So that's where I learned from my frustration. I realized this is how we need to do in order to go to the market. We really need to recalibrate our mindset. We need to shift from a results at all costs tempo to something more patient, something more relationship centered. So it requires me to be more adaptable, more empathetic, and I have to let go my Singaporean way in order to close deals there.
Yes. This is great, Thomas. And in a way I can relate because as you might know, here in Europe we have a complex system as well. So different countries, different languages, different cultures, and then we have to adapt. So we have to find a common language, which is already a challenge, and then different ways of doing business. So some people are more direct, some are prefer like the connection, and so that would be interesting to see you as a Singaporean dealing with the European ways. I guess you have some experience here in Europe too, and
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
So how was that for you? I'm curious, you know.
Europe is a vast country with so many countries. So I tend to deal with the English, the Dutch, the Israelis, as well as the Finnish. So all four markets have four different behaviors. So it really takes a bit of adapting. For example, the Finnish tends to be a bit more aggressive. They also very result orientated. The English will be more direct when they are communicating with you. So it's more of getting used to the different cultures.
Yeah, which is great. It's a learning experience that we keep doing day in, day out, I think. At least that's the way it is for me, dealing with people from different countries. And I'm glad to have your perspective on Southeast Asia because that's kind of new to me, and I really like hearing from you. Thomas, you mentioned frustration. You mentioned there's ideas yet to adopt. So did you have like more negative emotions associated to your, especially at the beginning of your journey? Like, how were you feeling?
Um, I realized that whatever education which has built me up to go into the workforce doesn't work in an international context. So I felt lost. I felt that I'm swimming in an open sea with nobody guiding me. So um, it's like you are sprinting very fast. You want to sprint very fast, but suddenly you hit a wall, which is preventing you from moving. And that stems into a frustration, which I know is due to things which is totally out of my control. So the only thing we can do, especially for anybody in the international business, is to see how we can adapt to the local conditions. And before I go into a new market, I tend to like to learn more about the country. I read more about the country, either via Wikipedia or do some online search. I also try to learn some basic languages of how to how to say hello. For example, in Netherlands or in German, we say Guten Morgen, so good morning. So it brings people closer to you. So that's how I slowly let go of my dominant emotion, and try to see there are things that I cannot control, but what if I control the things that I could do? Can I be more flexible and more adaptable to the market?
Yes, that's a great point. So in a way, like empathize with the people you're dealing with, and yeah, learn a bit of the culture. Like even a few words, as you said, they do make a difference. And normally I see people appreciate that because you're making an effort to, yeah, I suppose to walk a little bit in their shoes and you start a connection. And business, it's a lot about connection more than numbers and reports. It's all about building connections, I think. So it is a great approach, and yeah, and I really really do appreciate that. And now, so moving from the frustration, and you mentioned a few techniques and strategies you're using, so connecting with people you're dealing with. Was there a specific turning point for you in your experience, I suppose?
Okay, the turning point actually came during a particular project in which I was managing a cross-border team between United States and the Philippines. So as you know, there's the time difference. There's also I was being pushed very hard to meet deadlines, driven by the fast-paced management culture of the Israelis. So despite all my efforts, progress was very slow because United States, Israel, Philippines all have different cultures, different way of doing things. So tensions began to rise. I realized that I was treating the situation like a race to the finish line instead of a marathon, which require pacing to finish it. So this moment actually forced me to step back and reassess my situation. I asked myself, why are things moving slower here in the Philippines? What's really happening beneath the surface? So instead of focusing on the deliverables between my US and my Israel colleagues, I start investing more time in building relationships with my customers. I start investing more time in building relationships with my local colleagues and partners. I listen to them, try to understand from their point of view, and try to put myself in their shoes. Why am I moving so slow? So true to that, it allows me to understand their concern, their values, their way of doing business, and their unspoken expectations. And by balancing, now I know that how the Filipinos behave. So now I'll try to balance between my United States colleagues and my Israeli colleagues. And this process allows me to start understand that if we assert our own way of doing things, we actually cause more damage than moving things forward. So it's more about blending your strengths to the local rhythms and practices.
Right, right. Yes, that's precious, precious advice, Thomas. So dealing with people from every corner of the globe really gives you different perspective and teaches you lessons that normally you can't read on books, you can't study, yeah, up to a level, but then it's the real experience. And so you learned that on the field. So you were there and you had to report to the management. You had this pressure, and so was eventually successful. Was your project successful eventually? I'm curious.
Oh, yes, definitely. This was finally launched after much intense pressure.
Yeah, that's it's a direct consequence, I suppose, of the strategy you applied. And so no, that was a strong point for you to learn. So would you say that your, I don't know, your life, your career, your situation has changed since then?
Definitely, because I start embracing humility. I need to let go of my own beliefs and try to understand how the people around me behaves. So I became a learner instead. I became curious. I became patient. I became open to um, shifting to rather than pushing for aggressively for outcomes. I recognize that trust and mutual respect create a foundation for a longer term success for everyone. So from that point onwards, my leadership style actually changed. Instead of driving very hard, I focus on nurturing connections. I focus on reading cultural cues. I try to align individual perspective towards shared goals rather than individual goals for myself. So this not only improve results for my company, it also helps me up as a better human to connect to fellow colleagues, fellow friends, connections.
Yes, and you mentioned one of the keywords, which is trust. So through connections, through learning, to communication, we build trust, and then people trust you, and then you create the circle of trust in a way, so
Mhm.
that you connect on a deeper level, I'd say, through trust. And yeah, it takes patience. I'd say it takes consistency. So you have to be there, you have to show up, you have to listen to people. But the key word is trust. Once you do that, once you build trust, it doesn't matter if you are in the US, in the Philippines, Israel, Singapore. Uh, it really does work, and it does make a difference, I think. So again, precious advice, Thomas. I really appreciate that. So, as we're moving towards the end, okay, of our chat, I usually ask people for recommendations, right? So, a lot of people are thinking of going international. A lot of people, a lot of professionals want to explore new markets, maybe from their home country. Maybe they want to travel like you, or maybe they simply want to explore new markets, right? So really, what would be your recommendations for people who want to have international experience like you, Thomas?
Well, I pick up my knowledge along the way. My education does not build me up for that, to be honest. So my recommendation from my personal experience would be, uh, I have four recommendations for you, for the audience out there. Number one, always be patient and curious. Embrace culture references as learning opportunities rather than obstacles. Learn to ask questions. Listen more than you speak because we know it to speak. But when you listen more, you tend to be understanding more when you're trying to be understood. Number two, build authentic relationships because business is very personal in this part of the world. It's not transactional. It's not about results. You need to really invest in time in genuine connections. Don't rush into relationship building. Number three, I mentioned this a lot of times earlier. Stay humble and flexible. Whatever that works in your country might not work in their country. So always be willing to adjust your style and fit the local context. And last but not least, keep reflecting. Every culture, every market, every challenge is a chance for you to grow. Keep an open mind. With an open mindset, don't be afraid to fail or feel uncomfortable. Don't go to the market and say, oh, this is how we do it in the United States. You should follow our way. Try to understand why the locals behave in that way. And these moments are often our greatest teacher. That's where I learn a lot because I'm open to how the market actually feedback to me, how my colleagues actually feedback to me. So at the end of the day, an international career isn't a it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So pace yourself, stay adaptable, and lean into the journey. It'll be incredibly rewarding.
Oh, that's great. Yes. So listen, listen, listen. That's a great one. And I mean, Thomas, you've come a long way. So from your Singaporean approach, fast, direct, get things done, to slowing down, listening, and adapting. So that must have been challenging, but yeah, in a way, it paid back because this is what you're doing now, and you are connecting the dots in a way. So thank you very much for that. And yeah,
Thank
so
you.
it's been great. Look, it's been great having you here on my series, Thomas, and I really appreciate you sharing your insight. So thank you very much. And yeah, and thanks everybody for watching, for listening, and for being here with us. And Thomas, thanks again.
Thank you very much for having me in the show. See you around.
Absolutely. Okay. Take care. See you in the next episode. Okay. Bye bye.
Cheers. Cheers.